Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Baron here. This is the Yak-9k. It's got a 45mm cannon. Let's see what that's like in the cockpit view. You ready for this? This is what the 45mm toting tanks are gonna sound like. Oh, don't you love that rattle? Oh my gosh, you got to. You just got to. We got one machine gun, you know. We're looking to smash something though. So this thing is a beast. It's gonna be pretty fun to hunt bombers with. And maybe even do some ground attack on tanks when the tanks have damage models. Find those light and, you know, easier to hit medium tanks. Shoot them straight in the engine blocks or hit the turret hatches from directly above. That would be a skill though, that is for sure. So for some reason we're fighting over their airfield. And I'm, you know, just gonna derp and join. Love that sound. Alright. There it is, guys. There it is. Whoop. There it is. Lost his tail control. My shell probably went right through his fuselage. That's why I know. Where is he? Aircraft destroyed. That's where he is. He's in the ground. So the Yak-9k. Love that cannon. That 45mm cannon. I think he's bringing his out too. But it's too late, son. I already put you in the ground. This thing is just beast. Here we go. The Spitfire's on. We probably won't get there in time. I think this is one of the first arcade matches on the dev server I've had where my team is putting the hurt on the other guys, not the other way around. Oh, I hit him right after, I think. Alright, time to reload. And we have full upgraded, so we have a 8-second reload. Look at that chat. One of these guys is just spitting out German information, so if you're a German pilot, rewatch this, watch that chat, and then listen to that stuff. There's some cool stuff that sounds like, alright, G. No way! Oh, we're out of our 45. Reload! So we're in time for Zurkan. We have a present for you, Zurkan. Would you like to play a game? Alright, you're gonna have to just spray in that 45. I got you, boy. Don't think I don't. Even with my derp wings. Like, oh, see what you did there. Well, with my wings, I'm gonna have to pick a new target. And you are it. Where's this guy? There he is. We're going down. We are going down. So, let's give that another go. That 45, man. That 45. Boom. Pretty cool camo job right there. It's the Yak-9k again. Why not? I know you guys want to hear that again, don't you? See that wobble. Let's see if my feet move. Everything else moves. Boom. Loving it, dude. Loving it. Think about it. So there's like, you know, let's see, 45mm. Some light tanks. Player controlled, obviously, because they're more fun. You just drop on them. Start shelling them from near vertical in a nice dive, hitting that soft top armor. Because tanks are designed to take shots from the front and then a little bit from the sides and rear not so much. Do you think they were really thinking about, hey, there's going to be planes with 45mm cannons coming at me from above? No sirree, Bob. Germany didn't get any new planes, Mongol, but they did get a lot of cool features, so we're gonna go back. That BF-109 is going to get to the A-20 before us. There's a lot of Focke-Wulfs. Yeah, that's a decent point. Alright. So we're going to go after this Mongoloid here. And hopefully land a 45. They are not very accurate, I've found. So that's probably good. That's what it looks like, son. You got me. Alright, my pilot's got to eject. Eject, eject! So, ladies and gentlemen, the Yak-9k. How do you like that? Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to look at the paper stats of all of the new Russian aircraft. 6 new Russian planes. And we will start with the Yak-17. And we're going to compare it to the Yak-15. Now, the max speed on paper is actually slower. Now, I know one addition of the Yak-17 was that it has tricycle landing gear. So that may be one of the only real changes, interestingly enough. Now we'll look at the Yak-9k, and you've probably seen some gameplay of that. But this thing is a lot of fun in arcade with that 45, and I think in historical will be a lot of fun when you have either naval or ground targets to hit. You know, player-controlled tanks, player-controlled ships. Or if you have bombers to hunt. That is where I feel the 45 will really excel at. And let's see, compare the Yak-9k to the T. It has about the same speed overall, so paper-wise, there's not too much of a difference, similar to the Yak-17 and Yak-15. Though this is just looking at the paper statistics. You really got to test these things in order to really see the differences. Now here's something interesting. We had the LA-5FN. And we had the LA-7, and now we have 2 more LA-5s. The LA-5 and the LA-5F. So the LA-5, looking at overall speed, speed's pretty much the same. The LA-5FN on paper has 1 more kilometer per hour in top speed. And the cannons are largely the same. So when you look at all of that, on paper there's not a whole lot of difference. Climbing rates, everything. So that you will have to test yourself. But when you look at this tree, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, right in here, from 6 to 9, I mean, you have a lot of depth. So if you're hiking your way up and grinding your way up, and you are a fan of the Lavochkin-based aircraft, you have a lot of depth. And there's really, look, there's 3 tiers you miss here, and 2 tiers you miss here. That is pretty awesome. And you look at the Yak tree, if you're a big fan of the Yaks and you really want to go down the Yak-15s and Yak-17s. I mean, that is pretty deep, all the way up to like 10, and then you skip 3 tiers and you have to jump to tier 14. And then we have the new lags, which kind of fill out the Lavochkin branch. The Lavochkin branch is deep. And overall, what's the real difference here? Subtle differences. But let's see, yeah. On paper, they're near identical. There's probably some subtle changes and maybe some upgrades that you can get that are different. But once again, the Russians are rather doing well as far as new aircraft are concerned. Overall, when compared to most of the other fighter lines, the Russians have 2 very, not too many gaps. The Yak and the Lavochkins. Now, if you look at the Americans, you have 1 tree pretty much. Actually 2. These are looking good. Now you got the Germans. They are pretty stacked as well. You have the BF-109s. But in terms of fighters, yeah, you really have the BF-109 track, and then eventually you get to the Focke-Wulf 190s. The Brits, you have the Spitfires. You have the Hurricanes and Typhoons, but there's a lot of gaps in those if you wanted to pursue those exclusively. Then the Japanese, all you really have is the Zeros, and then you got the N1Ks. But I'm trying to think of like what would be the most needed fighter gap measures. You can argue that Japan's the least played, so they kind of get the least attention, and that's just my personal opinion. That may not be true because they say the flight models are introduced when they're finished, and they do take a while. But in terms of choosing them, if more people played the Japanese, maybe they would get more. But then again, less people are playing it because they're not getting as much. It's almost like a catch-22 over in Japan right now. So I'm Baron. Just some thoughts on the new Russians. Lags and Lavochkins everywhere. And then some new Yaks. In Germany, you got your rockets. So there you go. I'm Baron. Thanks for watching. Alright, so yeah. Douglas BTD Destroyer is a torpedo bomber, and although you can have a lot of bombs, you will be able to get torpedoes, so that is what will make this thing just ruin ships. Here is the cockpit. Really awesome. I'm in a historical battle right now. This thing just looks slick. Haven't seen any enemies. What I'm planning on doing is drop in some 500 pounders on some tanks.